And we are live. Thank you for joining us. It is officially Thrive Thursday. I'm Laura Brandao, the president of AFR, and today we have three guests who are going to share with us how they have adapted to our new world and are now thriving. Let's meet our three guests. From Dallas, Texas, we have Shonda Strives. She is the founder of She Strives. From California, we have Jerry Avila. He is the loan officer at CMS, Capital Mortgage Services. And also from Dallas, Texas, we have Sadie Gurley, and she is the EVP at Digital Risk. Okay, Shonda, the last few months have certainly brought a lot of change and adaptation. None of us are the same, and we would like to know, what have you learned from this experience? What has changed? And what are you now saying yes to that you are thriving?
Those are great questions. Thank you. What has changed? Much has changed. The main focal point of the entire pandemic and everything that has taken place career-wise has pushed me into a place of patience and adaptability. So being an Army veteran, in the military, they kind of just teach you to adjust and adapt no matter where you are. I've been able to put those skills to use, but more so than ever. When we're kind of used to going about our everyday flow and our routine, and we're thrown off course, sometimes we have to reach back and tap into those skills that we were once accustomed to. So that's what's changed for me. I've had to reach back and grab some of that patience and some of that adaptability that I had let go before. One thing that I'm doing now in order to thrive is I'm just simply going with each day. Since COVID-19, things have changed and they continue to change. I've had a daughter who spent 9 days in the hospital. I've had a mother that's been ill. I've had things change in business. So in the past or prior to COVID-19, I would have all these plans and I would stick to this checklist. So while I still set my goals and I still have my plans, I leave room for change. And right now I'm leaving a lot of space for change because I'm finding that each day there's something new that's thrown our way. And in order to continue to thrive and progress, we have to be open to change. So that's been the greatest difference for me. And that's also been the greatest aspect that's allowing me to thrive during this pandemic.
Wow. Well, Shonda, you said a lot of things there. Okay, so let's kind of go back a little bit and break some of that down. Number one, you said that you got some of your skills from being a veteran, which thank you for your service. So that's very important. But how do you recommend to others to learn patience? Because I'll tell you, for us in the mortgage business, we're probably not very good at patience. That's probably one of those skills that we might all need to work on a little bit. So where do you get that? So that's one. And then I love what you said about you had your plans and you had your goals, but now you leave room for change. That is very deep and important, right? So you're not going to stop. You're not saying, okay, I can't dream, I can't have goals, I can't have that, but I will have it, but I'm leaving room for change. So dive a little bit into patience and dive a little bit into, okay, how do you set those goals, but yet leave that change component?
Okay, great. So learning patience. I think patience is something that you choose to have. It's something that you choose to possess. It's something that you choose to operate in. I've just learned that when you don't have patience, when you don't take a moment to realize some things simply have to run its course, like COVID-19, like wearing the mask, like not being able to go to the gym at a certain point in time and not being able to access the bars. If we just give it a little bit of time and if we just go through the course the right way, then hopefully things will come to a point where we can dive back in. But when we rush things, we become frustrated. And I don't know about you all, but I don't work best when I'm frustrated. I don't work best when I'm annoyed. So if that thing is going to happen anyway, if COVID-19 is going to be here, if the business is going to be slowed a little bit, if we're going to have to work just that much more harder, if you all in real estate are going to have to get just that much more creative when it comes to closing those deals or acquiring those clients, then we might as well do it the smart way. And I've learned that patience is the smart way. If not, you're going to have to run the same course with frustration, with anxiety. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to lose your appetite, but you're still going to have to go through the same path that I'm having to take. So if we take it with patience, it just makes it smoother. And I've also learned that we progress more when we acquire patience, because we are able to think about what we're doing. We're able, obstacles give us opportunities to be creative. So opposition doesn't pause us. It just shows us how to overcome those hurdles. So that's definitely how I would say, learn to be patient. Just think about the benefit of it. And what was that second question you asked?
So leaving room for change in your goals. Yeah.
Leaving room. I learned that we can't control everything. So while we'd like to control everything, our day to day, I'm that person that's very meticulous. So I know the night before what my day looks like the next day, and probably on into next week. In the past, I would get upset if someone canceled, or my day was thrown off, or someone committed to something and now they're late and they're not showing up and they're not pulling their weight. Well, over the course of time, I've learned that that's just life. So we have to leave enough room for adjustments to be made, which is why for most meetings, we show up 15 to 20 minutes early, just in case there's an issue, especially with technology now. So while we have our goals, while we have our plans, I would just recommend starting things earlier than they're supposed to start. Pushing your deadlines up just a little bit, leaving yourself time to get things done, or to make adjustments, or to acquire new clients to meet that budget. Leave enough time to avoid and prevent disappointment. So set your goals, but in between those goals, leave a little bit of space to breathe and to adjust.
I love that. And that is very good advice, Shonda. Thank you very much. Awesome.
You're welcome.
And it certainly sounds like you are on that thriving path. And I know that it's only a matter of time of working through this part of it. Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, Jerry, I want to hear, before we went live, he was going through his pipeline. He actually had a client walk in and was ready to execute their CD. And we were speaking a little bit about that. So obviously you're thriving, you've adjusted, you've adapted. What are some of the lessons that you've learned, and how have you adapted through all of these things that we've learned over the last few months?
Well, I think the biggest thing, the biggest adaptation I've done to my business is really just kind of take a lot of the non-income producing activities out of my way. Part of that came from me really just honing in on specifying on what I'm going to be working on. Being part of an organization that I joined, which I'm very fond of now. It's with Leroy and Christopher Griffith. With Vetted VA. So it's really opened me up to, really just kind of hone in on the one thing I wanted to do from the beginning, which was serve veterans. That was my main focal point when I started my career on this side of the business, because I worked forever in retail banking, and really made the transition over to be an assistant, to grow into an LO myself. And now I'm trying to grow a team. And so really starting to learn to delegate a lot of activities in order to be able to grow that team even further. So a lot of it for me has been just kind of learn to let go. Let go is kind of the big key point for my growth of late. And a lot of it having to do with that now has allowed me to now hire an assistant, because my pipeline went from really going only 2, maybe 3 loans a month, if that, to really now just being consistently hitting at minimum 5 coming in. And as of late, with the boom, obviously it helps, but it's now it's, you're bringing in 10 or 12 a month. It's increasing that pipeline exponentially over and over. So that's been one of the biggest things. And then really just the activities that I do differently now is I try to stick to a schedule as much as humanly possible. I think the whole win by noon was something that I started a long time ago, and a lot of those activities are the ones that continue to to help me excel in what I do. So those are kind of like the major adaptations I've done to my business.
So why did you choose this time to actually change with being focused on the schedule and doing Win by Noon? I'm just curious, like,
So
what caused that?
for me, really, it was just the really a mental switch, because I was always wanting to thrive and be better and do more. But the thing is that I wanted to do more, yet I wasn't taking care in full of what I had on my plate.
Mm.
So what was the point of doing more if I couldn't do that? So part of what is I took a step back from an organization I was a part of, and really it was for the sake of the group as well. Unfortunately we just weren't doing as hot, but I took a step back saying, you know what, this is probably what's better. We'll have to pause if I pull myself out as well as others did. And it was really for the good of the group, and ultimately releasing myself of those activities and those duties opened me up to really just focus on my veterans in the group, with Veteran Beginning. So it just really gave us a lot of opportunity there to really just, okay, now I have structure with this. Now I don't have to worry about all these extra activities. Now I can just focus on one thing and then allow that to be the one thing that allows me to excel. Putting the time and effort into myself, and giving myself mental peace and relaxation, and giving myself personal time as well, by making sure that I have a routine for the gym every day. I do CrossFit in the middle of the day typically. And it was one of those things where I just said, you know what, Win by Noon served me in the past. And I knew that, yes, not necessarily having to always write it in the book, but at least writing it somewhere was a key component for me. And all of a sudden that just started bringing back other habits of, okay, now I got to get calls in. I got to do, a couple extra steps to, make sure that I execute a certain amount of activities per day, so that way I can be more productive. And so that's kind of where my mindset went, is, okay, what other income producing activities can I do that are going to be allowing me to grow?
Yeah, and you said a couple of really important things. You said, one, you learn to let go and focus on the income producing, okay, which is difficult. It sounds simple, but we all know we want to control everything, and we want to do all those tasks that maybe it's really holding us back. It's holding our teams back. It's holding us back. We have to let go, and we have to focus in on the things that we do best. So that's the second thing that you said. You said that, you've been in the industry, you've been in different roles, but you really connected to where you wanted to serve veterans. And now you feel you're in a place that you're able to do that, and you're able to, kind of do it from your heart and be able to serve. And that's why all of this is falling into place. It's all coming together because you're focused not only on the income producing, that's important, but it's also serving from the heart. So that's wonderful that you found that. So that makes total sense of why you're thriving there. Okay, Sadie, what's happening in your world? Before we went live, we were actually saying it's like drinking out of a fire hose at the moment, how busy and crazy things are. So tell us, what have you adapted, and how have you changed and leaned into the lessons that we've learned during all of this while we're dealing with record volume?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, on my to-do list are still letting go and patience. But
oh no! See, you hear that? See, I told you. And Sadie, I'm with you too. So yeah, we're together on that.
But the biggest thing that's happened, right? The last 6 months have been a major upheaval in everybody's personal and professional lives, both for our clients and for my team. And one of the things I've really focused on is connecting with both my clients and my team, and understanding, right, if I'm having anxiety, if I'm having a tough day sometimes because I watched a little bit too much news the night before, that my team is as well, that my clients are as well. And so what I've really focused on is communicating with everybody and being honest and being just very open with, hey, I'm struggling. Are you struggling? And it's really created a deeper bond with my team as well as with my clients. And it's actually made the team happier because we're in it together. So they've actually become more productive and I think happier because, you know, that all happened so fast. We went from the office to home in 48 hours.
Yeah.
And we had no idea what was going to happen next. And the same thing for our clients. Yeah. So when we were able to make that connection and say, hey, we're all in this together, it's really, instead of my job is very focused on deliverables and hitting timeframes and getting it right, but it's definitely become more of a partnership with both the team and the clients, everybody working together towards a common goal, because we now know we're just all in this together.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's, you know, of course, let's hope this is our once in a lifetime pandemic that all of us will share. Let's hope this is one time. Right, but right. You're right. We've all gone through it together. There's right. No one that hasn't experienced this change and this right. struggle. And like you said, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whether it's what, I mean, we know when the kids were getting close to going back to school, right. I remember I was on my executive management call saying, make sure that you're telling your teams we understand, because right. the parents were like, what's going to happen? What if my kids are part-time virtual, part-time in it? We understand, whatever it is.
Well,
whatever it is.
If I'm feeling the anxiety, I know everybody else is, right? The kids, team members, kids, right? We all have parents and loved ones, and we're all worried about what's going to come next, right? We're not even halfway through this. So we all have to be cognizant that our lives aren't going to go back to the way they were in 2019. And we have to start adjust to this new normal. And I think this new normal, in some ways, there's a lot of positives that are coming out of it because we're able to say, you know what, I can't do that, or right. this is going to take a little longer. And I've never in my entire career had a client go, I understand, right? I get it. We're with you. And so it's really made us more human, right, to each other. And so there are, as terrible as this is, there are still positive things that are coming out of it.
Yeah. And listen, even just hearing all of these stories, it's positive. You know, I mean, listen to, because they're lessons that we've all learned. And I'm actually curious, Sadie, what are some of the ways that you're communicating with your team? Like, I've heard lots of fun ideas. Like I know many different organizations are trying to do different unique ways to keep the teams together and keep that communication. Is there anything that you guys have come up with that you could share with everyone?
Well, what we found is we do a lot of different things. So we have a weekly team meeting and we change the forum. Sometimes it's trivia games where we give out prizes, and other times it's more professional. This is what's happening. This is what the expectations are. This is what's changing. And we kind of try to change them up so they don't get stale. We do daily trivia contests. And I make sure when somebody goes above and beyond that I am personally thanking them. You know, and that they feel like they are a valued member of the team, because when we're all sitting in our office with very little human interaction, sometimes a thank you, sometimes I saw what you did today it just helps.
Yeah, it definitely goes a very long way. So you're absolutely correct. Okay. All right. Here comes the hard question that I'm dying to hear. And it shouldn't be a hard question. And honestly, I probably could tell you Jerry's without him actually saying it. So I'm curious to see what you're going to say based on what you described. Okay. So now we've gone through this adaptation. We've learned things about ourselves that we maybe weren't even aware of. Skills and superpowers that we had that maybe were always there, but they didn't come out until we were put to this challenge. So what I want to know is, what have you learned about yourself to where what's your unique superpower? All right, Shonda. And I probably could guess yours too, just based on your first answer. But go ahead. I want to hear it from you.
I'm curious as to what you guess.
What do you think?
I have to take, I don't know. Go ahead and tell me.
Go ahead. I want to hear you first.
Okay. My superpower is courage.
Oh.
And I think it's courage because I throw myself at everything, no matter what the circumstance is or no matter what the situation looks like. I do many things scared, and I still think that makes me courageous. So I didn't mention what I do here, but I'm a business coach. I help individuals grow their business, and I also come up with strategy and structure. So
I probably could have guessed that too before you before you said that. But yes, tell us what you do.
So I assist those. So many of my clients, they're in different fields. I'm also a public speaker as well. Many of my clients have found themselves stagnant or stuck. But after taking a look at their data and their goals and their vision, no, we weren't stuck. We just came up with a new way to thrive. So now we have that old way and the new way. So now we can really progress in business. Now we can really move forward. Now we can expand the way that we communicate. Many individuals didn't like emails or text messages or even phone calls. Well, now that's very important now. With my team and with clients, it's very intimate at this point. Still professional, but more intimate. So now hours of operations have changed. Yeah. I have a daughter who's doing virtual school. So I know that there are clients that have children as well. So whereas maybe work stopped at a certain hour, or maybe it didn't happen on Sundays, now it does happen. Yeah. So a lot of changes and adjustments have been made to accommodate others, but then also because I can relate just like you all. But courage definitely has to be the thing.
I love courage, because what you're saying is that you go into every situation kind of just being open and accepting whatever it is that comes your way. And that does tie into the first things that you said when you spoke about keeping that open space for change. So you have the courage to set those goals and move forward. So I think that nails it. Very good. All right, okay. Jerry.
I'd have to say mine would be more passion. Because a lot of what I do, like you were saying earlier, it really is something that comes out of my heart. It's wholeheartedly an effort that I make to serve other people and to really make sure that what I do makes a difference in people's lives. So when I'm everywhere I go, whether or not it's somebody that I can actually be helping as a client of mine, or whether it just be somebody that's random other states. It doesn't have to be family. It doesn't have to be friends. It's like, you have a question that I can answer. Sure, why not? If you decide not to use me as a lender, but you still have questions, guess what? I'm not going to turn you away and say, go ask your lender. I'm the kind of guy who's going to take a moment and say, hey, no problem. Let's go ahead and talk. Let's figure out what your situation is and how I can better help you kind of rectify that shit. And so for me, I think that it is.
So you lead with your heart.
I do.
Is essentially, I love that. That is really, and you could tell that by your first answers too, because you were saying that although you've been in the business, you were doing a wide variety of tasks, and that was great. And sure, all that has to happen, and it absolutely will always have to happen. But now you've realized where to focus that ties into more of your heart-centric attitude, so that way you're fulfilling what you want to do, but you're focusing your time and effort primarily on that passion. So that's wonderful. I love that. All right, Sadie, what do we have?
So I thought about this a lot, and I'm not sure the word encapsulates it entirely, but I did the best I could. One of the things I did when I started at the firm is I noticed our clients all had different needs. Yeah. And so I sorted this mantra, we're going to meet you where you're at. So where you're at is how we're going to succeed for you. And as the last 6 months have transpired, I've kind of turned that inward to also our team. And instead of expecting them to just get things done, I've started meeting them where they're at so that we're all successful. And I kind of turned that word into resilience. Having been in Manhattan during September 11th and on Wall Street, and just, we picked up and we kept on going the next day, and anything that's ever happened, I've just said, okay, what do I have to do now to change so that we can go forward? So the word I selected was resilience.
I love that. And I love how you explain that, Because, and that even ties into, like Shonda just mentioned, about how people communicate in different ways, right? What you're saying is everyone accepts information differently, right? We were speaking about the family that needed to come in because they're not tech savvy. So you can't send them electronic disclosure, you know, they have to physically come in. It's the same thing with all of our team members and our families, personal, business. Everyone needs to be treated individually.
Right.
No two people are going to receive the information or react the same way. So what you're saying is you meet them where they are, and you get through the situations, whatever's kind of going back to Shonda's leave room for change. You're leaving the room for change, and you're being resilient, and yet you're meeting them where they are. Wow, you guys are awesome. This is powerful. I mean, this is Shonda. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the business coach, but this is literally like giving guidance of how to be successful in business right here. This is it.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys are amazing. Oh my goodness. I love it. Okay. So at this point, we get to hear who's going to be on the next show. And believe it or not, I was telling everyone, for the first time, I'm actually getting on an airplane because I have to go to record something for a conference. So next Thursday, I'll be traveling. Surprisingly, haven't been on a plane since March. So the next show will be the following Thursday, October 1st. So let's hear who's going to join me on October 1st. Shonda.
I'm recommending Amber Jackson. She is the CEO of Glitz Optical. I've watched her expand during this pandemic prior to it and acquire new partnerships. So I just think she'd be an amazing aspect to how she's thriving.
Awesome. Wonderful. Looking forward to hearing. All right, Jerry, who do we have?
Be Dylan Rainey from Big Block Realty. He's a former vet. Oh, yeah, I can't say former. He's a veteran. And, you know, he's a great guy and really hustles to get to serve his clients, and so for me was a good candidate to bring up because he's young, but he's very motivated and he has his mind right.
Awesome.
Yeah, where I can say, like me personally at that same age, there was no way I was there, but he's totally there, and I like his mindset. I like where he's going with it, and you know, I think he's going to be a very successful guy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it. Okay. All right, Sadie, who do we have?
I have Cassandra Alvis from SourcePoint. She's a senior project manager. She sets up new deals for clients for SourcePoint.
Awesome.
And she's just an amazingly talented woman. And I think you're going to love meeting her.
Wonderful. All right. Well, wishing you guys all the best. Keep thriving. Be safe out there. Thank you so much for sharing. This was absolutely incredible. Take care, everyone.